you have any questions from yesterday's class? All right. Okay. So yesterday we have created these custom fields on standard objects, right? And today let's see how to create a custom object and how to create a tag and how we are going to create the custom fields. Okay, like Picklist or something else also. Okay, and then let's see the how history tracking will work and auto number. Okay, here, so we know that we cannot create or delete or modify the standard fields. Now we have list of standard fields. Now I want to store some employee information in my organization, but I don't have the object called employee in the list. Okay, so if you want, just type something like this. Want to see the list of standard objects what we can use in the tab panel. So here just go to the build and customize. Here you can get all the standard. Okay, so these are the standard objects, and now we want to have an object for storing the employee information. So what we need to do is we have to create an object, okay, so that we can store our data which is related to our organization. Okay, so you know that what is an object? An object is a database table which stores the organization specific data. Okay, now how we can create an object? Okay, go to setup, and then here if you see that build, then create. If you want to just note down the navigations, then only you can be able to develop fast. Okay, setup, then build, create, and under that create option you can find the objects. Okay, so here setup, build, create, then objects. Just click on object. Now here if you see that there is an object for the observation, or we can say that definition of the custom object. Custom objects are database tables that allow you to store the data specific to your organization in Salesforce. Okay, now here, so let's create an object. Okay, so we have already spoke about the standard fields, right? Standard fields are the fields which are created or provided by the Salesforce itself, and system administrator or end user cannot delete or create the standard objects, right? Now when you create a custom object, new custom object, so how many ways we can create a custom object? Okay, the first way is using the new custom object tab. Okay, setup, build, create, under that objects option. So simply what you can see, there is a simple thing called objects. If you type objects in the quick find, then you can get the objects information. And then if you click on that objects, then here there is an option for creating. Now let's create an object called I'm going to use university. Okay, now plural name you have to give universities. Okay, done. So you are not going to do anything. Okay, so simply what I have given, label, plural label, as it is starting with vowel sound, I'm just checking the checkbox, so there is no impact on that, and then just click on save. Now the tab is created, sorry, object is created. Simply means one table is created. Okay, so if the table is created, if you don't have any columns, how can you fill the data, right? So let's see what are the fields we have, the standard fields we have on the object. Okay, so by default, these are the standard fields can be created by the Salesforce whenever you are creating an object. If you create a custom object, so it will give some standard fields called name, owner, last modified by, created by. Okay, so these are not only the standard fields, we have a lot of other standard fields on the object. Let me show what are the other standard. See here, if you want, you can note down the standard fields. Means if someone asks that what are the different standard fields can be provided by the Salesforce whenever you create an object, means custom object. So id, owner id is deleted, name, created date, created by id, last modified date, last modified by id. So if we ask the what are the standard fields created by the Salesforce whenever you are creating an object, then you have to list out all these fields. And yesterday we have seen the lot of standard fields on the lead and account and contact object. Those are also standard fields on because those are provided by the Salesforce. Okay. So whenever you are creating a new object, okay, so then these are the standard fields can be provided by the Salesforce. These are for only custom objects, and not only these, and we have different others also based on the feature enable. Means like if you open the if you enable the Salesforce to Salesforce connection, something else, then will be different other fields also can be added. Those are standard fields only. But for now, these are the standard fields you have to remember. List of standard fields. Okay. Now, so we know that if we have an object, then how can we enter the data? So these are all object, account, contact, opposite, all are the objects. And if you want to create an object, then you should have a tab. If you don't have a tab, then how can you enter the data? It's not possible, right? So once you create a custom object, then you should be able to create a tab for accessing the data or for adding the new data, right? Now let's see how to create an tab for the object. So here the same way, setup, then build and create, there we have tabs. Okay, so otherwise what you can do is in quick find simply type tabs. Okay, now click on tabs. So we have already discussed yesterday what is a tab. A tab is a graphical user representation component which is used to access the data related to that specific object. And using the tab you can create the new records, or based on that you can access all the records, and there you can perform the DML operations. DML operations means just like creating a new record, updating the existing record, deleting and deleting. All those are called as DML operations. Data manipulation language operations. Okay, now here, so as we need to create the tab, so as we have custom object, then we should create the object for custom object tab. Okay, there are different types of tabs. So custom object tabs, web tabs, Visualforce tabs, lightning page tabs. Okay, note down these tabs. So what is a tab? A tab is a graphical user representation component which is used to access the data. And first thing, custom object tab. This is, so if you want to see this, you can simply click on help. It will give some data on this. So let me explain one tab. Like if you use leads tab, it shows the records, I mean key records, whatever they are saying, and this is called as list view. Okay, So what do you mean by list view? Let's say if there are some lakhs of records or something. Okay. Now what you need to do is you need to show the filtered values. Let's say I have leads from the different countries like China, India, and different other countries also. If I want to show the leads based on the country, I can create a list view. Let me show the example. Now here what I can do is I can create a new list view. Let's say India leads, or let's say if you use university, then you can use the universities as well. List views can be created. So country equals to India. You can give some conditions. Okay, some filtering conditions. After that you can add what are the fields you have to display on the list views. Okay, means you can have up to 15 fields on the list view, maximum 15 fields. Okay, the list view is a user interface component where you can filter the values, that's it. Okay, based on some criteria you are going to display the records simply. Now here, just here visible to only me, visible to all users, and visible to certain groups. I'll explain later what to share and how to share. Now let me give visible to all users. Here, so there is only one record with India country. Okay, so if you want to edit the list view, just add the country as well. Here let me create a lead. Country. So this email testing which is related to China is displaying here. But if you want to go for India leads, then only one record will be displayed because others country is China. It's called list view. List view means just listing the records with required fields and conditions. That's it. Okay. And here. So then web tabs. Let's say if you want to redirect to some different websites, you might have known the things like when you click on one link and it will go to other website. That's called redirection. Okay. So the same way you can have web tabs for that. Then Visual Force tabs, lightning based tabs, Visual Force tabs as well. So that I will explain later when we come across the Visual Force technology. Okay, for now let's create a small custom object tab called, now here, so for one object we can create only one tab. Okay, for one object we can create only one tab. Now here let me select the object because for this object we don't have tab. That's why it is displayed there. If there is an already tab, then we cannot select from the tab. That means it won't display. Now you can use the tab style. Okay, just click next. Just click next. This I'll explain later. What are the securities? Save. Now the tab is created. Now if you see this, there is a tab called University. Okay, now here tab is created, so you will be able to create the new record. Okay, then what is the standard fee is already there. So owner is there and the university name is there. Okay, these two are the standard fields which are already created. Okay, so this is the text and this is owner. Understand? So any questions on this? Now let's say I'll give the now the record has been created. Owner is whoever is creating the record, those will be the owner, and so last modified date and created by then university name. Okay, so this is the custom object tab and creating the custom object. So once you create a custom object, then you should create the tab for accessing the data or for adding the new data. Okay, so using the custom object tab, you can access the data and you can see the list views and you can modify the records. Okay, so that's the simple object and tab. Okay, now if I want to create different other fields, then what you can go to the object definition page. This is called as custom object definition page. Here, so if you observe that, let me show the difference. This is called as developer console. I will explain it later when we are coming to the. So we have different standard fields called account. If you observe that account.obj, right? As well as let's see the lead.obj. Okay, and if you see the custom objects university_c.obj. That is the difference between the custom and standard objects. This is called API name. Okay, standard objects API name does not end with the _c. But if you see the custom objects, whatever you have created, those API name will always ends with _c. So that is the major difference. Even for fields also, the custom fields ends with _c. Standard fields does not ends with _c. Standard fields cannot be created, cannot be deleted, cannot be modified. But custom objects can be edited, can be deleted, and custom fields also can be edited, can be deleted. Okay. Now here, let me create very simple field. Okay. So we are going to know that if you see something, if you raise a complaint awareness to the one of the telecom subscribers like Vodafone or something, or if you raise any complaint to awareness to any company, they will give you a reference number, right? That reference number will always be unique. So that will always be a unique number, right? It will be unique number, and so that number will be allotted to only one record, means one issue or one complaint, whatever you say. So the same way you can have called auto number. Okay, so this auto number is a field. It can be generated by the system, and you cannot edit the auto number. This is read only field. Read only means you cannot edit it, you cannot set your value. Okay, you cannot modify it. So that will be generated by the system whenever the record is created. Okay, now let me create this one auto number field called university number. University number. Then you have to give the format. Okay, so let me show what is a format. A format means simply, let's say I want to have the employee number like MP hyphen then 001 then EMP hyphen 002 for the employees. For the university, let's say I want to have university then university hyphen 0. This is its format, right? So I need to generate the numbers in this format. Then what we can do is you have to give the format here. So what we were thinking, university, this is the common point, and hyphen is also required. Then what I need to do is 0001 0002, something like this I need. Then what we have to do in this one, just give the number like 4 numbers. And then what is the starting number? Let's say if I want to have the numbers like the starting should be like 10000 1000. Then next number should be 1001. Okay, if I want in this format, then starting number will be 1000. If I want starting from 1, then the starting number will be 1, like. And there is a checkbox, generate auto number for existing fields. Means existing fields means that object may have the records already, right? So here you have the university record already. University record is already there. Now for this university record also I have to generate a number, right? So what we can select is, you can select generate auto number for existing records. Okay, now you don't need to worry about anything, just give the format number, then simply click on next. So here generating auto numbers for the existing records may take few minutes. Okay, means for creating the field may take few minutes. It is updated. Now we don't need to do anything, just go there, refresh it. Auto number is already created and you cannot edit the auto number. Okay, you cannot edit the auto number. And now let's create different other university record. And here when you are creating a new record, there is no option for setting the new value for the auto number. So that will be generated by the system whenever a record is created. Okay, any questions? So simply just understand what is a auto number. Auto number is a read-only field. You cannot set the value, you cannot edit the value. The auto number value will be generated by the system whenever a record is created. Okay, so it's a read-only field. Now the question is, let's say whenever you are creating a new field like auto number field, if there are already 70 records, okay, then how the number will be generated? Let's say 1 month back the object has been created, okay, and then by the time users have created 70 records in the span of last 1 month. Now I'm creating the new field called auto number field, like something university number. Okay, now for existing records also the auto number should be assigned, right? One number should be assigned. Then how the number will be generated? Means let's say whatever the record created first, then that will be assigned to the first number. And then based on the created date, whichever is created first, that will be assigned to the first number. And then next number, third next number, like, okay. So based on the created date, whichever is created first, that order will follows and assign the auto number. Okay, careful on that. So if someone asks that how the auto number will be assigned to the existing records, then you have to say based on the created date. Okay, the latest one, whatever the latest record has been created, that will be assigned to the last number. Okay, whatever it is created first, that will be assigned to the first number. Okay, don't get confused on this. Now let me create some other fields on this same object. So in university there will be different departments as well, right? Let me create the departments tab. Let me create one pick list for having department. Here, let me explain one thing. Using global picklist values, there is an option. Means, if I want to have this department field in 5 or 6 locations, okay? Means, let's say I have 50 objects. On 50 objects also, I need to have the department. Then, instead of creating the picklist values everywhere, let's say I have department called arts, science, and then some computer, something else, and then after 15 days or after 30 days or after 1 year, if I want to add another department called some sports something, then I need to edit this picklist values on 50 objects as well. If I have to use this department in 50 places, then I have to edit 50 objects and 50 picklist values. Okay. Instead of that, if you want to use only one value set and different other fields, means I can mention all the picklist values in one place and that can be used in 50 places. That's called global value set. Okay, how to create global value set? Let's say here, usually we used to have countries or products, something else. Okay, here for your reference, let's use for departments. Here use the global values. Okay, picklist value set, where it will be having setup, build, create, and picklist value set. So what is a picklist value set? It's just like picklist only. This picklist you can use. So here if you observe that global picklist value sets let you share the values across the objects. Means here if you mention one global value set, it can be referenced in any number of objects and number of places and number of times. Okay. Now here let me use like department. Here I am giving like you can have something else also, whatever you want. Okay, let me give arts, science, and computers. Okay, so let's give this one and click on here. Give the department. Use the global value set. Means whatever you have already created the global value set, you can reference. So now you don't need to give the values again. Okay, this is called as global value set. Okay, now if you observe here, edit this. Now here department fields values will be available here. Okay, now if you remove this one of the field, let's say I have to add something like PG. Let's say just click save. Now you don't need to worry about the values which can be displayed on the university or somewhere. Means if you use the same global value set in 100 places, 100 places will be affected if you remove or add the field on the global value set. This is the advantage of global value set. That's called as picklist value set. Okay. Now let me create another field called another picklist with groups. Okay. have the like or you can have other global value set. There is no issue. I'm giving this basic. So these are the picklist values I have given. Let me click on next. Okay. Now here, let's edit. You will have the field. These are the departments, and these are the groups. Okay. Now here, so this is the simple way of creating two picklist values with the different values. That's it. Now what I need to do is for the arts, what should be having? BCom general or belongs to the arts. Means when you select arts, only BCom general should be displayed, right? And when you select science, then it should be MPC, MPCS and MBE, right? Or whatever it is. And then science, BCom computers or something. Okay, that is a dependency. Based on one field value, I need to filter the values in another field. That's called as field dependency. Okay, now let's see how we can create the field dependency. So go to the object definition page and the custom fields section. You can have an option called field dependencies. Okay, so then just click on field dependency, click on new. Now here there will be two terms. One is called as controlling field, second one is dependent field. Okay, controlling field, dependent fields. Then what is a controlling field? What is a dependent field? Okay, so based on one field value, we have to filter the another field value. Here, whatever the source field, that's called as controlling, and whatever it is, the values are displaying based on another value, that's called as dependent field. Here, what we are trying to do? So we have to filter the values of groups based on the selections of department. Then department is controlling the values of group, right? So now the department will be the controlling field and groups will be the dependent field. Okay, let me see this. Controlling field should always department, and here it should be groups. Okay, I'll explain that. You don't worry about this. Controlling field, and see here the field drives filtering is called as controlling field. Okay, the fields always standard and custom checkboxes and pick list with at least 1 and less than 300 values can be controlling fields. And then the field that has its values filtered is called as the dependent field. Custom pick list and multi-select pick list can be dependent fields. Then here we are saying that custom pick list, right? What we can say that custom pick list means whatever the field, custom field you have created as a pick list, that's called as a custom pick list. Okay, so in standard objects also we can have pick list values like status or something. Those are called as standard pick lists. Standard pick list cannot be the dependent. Understand? Standard pick list cannot be the dependent. Means its values cannot be controlled by another field. Okay, standard pick list should be always controlling field only. And custom pick list can be dependent always. And custom pick list in the custom object can be the controlling as well as dependent. Okay, in custom object you can have custom picklist values as the controlling as well as dependent. But in the standard objects, you cannot have the standard picklist as the controlling field. It can be always dependent field. Okay, I'll explain it later. Don't worry. Just try to understand the conversation on this. Continue. Now here, if you see this, for arts, what are the fields should be displayed? Means values. What are the values should be displayed? For arts, let's say I have BCom Central. For science, let me have MPC, Agriculture, BJC. Okay. For computers, let me have MPCS, let's say MPE. Okay. And for accounts, this one. Okay. So once you have all these, just click on include values. This is very much important. If you don't click on include values, then dependency cannot be worked. You should click on include values. Then if you want to see that, just click on preview. So when you select arts, these are the fields. When you click on science, when you select the science, this will be displayed. When you click on computers, these are the values will be filled. Accounts, these are the values will be there. Okay, so now just save. Okay, this is how the dependency should be created. Now go to this, refresh. Now here by default this will be disabled because there is no dependency as of now. If you see this, it depends on department. Just select some value here, arts, and then you can select BCom. Save it. Okay, that's called as field dependency. And controlling field and dependent field. See this, here we have two terms. Controlling field and then dependent field. Right? So what is a controlling field? Which are driving the dependency, or let's say whatever the field, it is controlling the values of another field called as controlling. Controlling field always should be picklist or checkbox. Picklist or checkbox should be the controlling field. Okay, so picklist or checkbox only can be the controlling field. Okay, standard picklist or standard checkbox can also be the controlling field. Okay, dependent field. Dependent field is a field which is filtered the values, or which is having the filter based on another value. Okay, that's called as the dependent field. Dependent field should always be the picklist or multi-picklist. Only the dependent fields. This is very much important. And standard picklist cannot be the dependent picklist. Standard picklist means if there is a picklist which is created by the Salesforce already as part of the standard objects, that will be called as the standard picklist. For example, status on the lead. So let me show that. If you see that lead here, if you click on new, here So lead status, this is the standard pick list, and then here you have lead source, this is also standard pick list. But when the standard pick list will be the dependent pick list. If you have two pick lists called, both are standard pick lists, then there will be a chance for having the dependency. For example, let me show here. So this lead status is there and lead source is there, right? Now if you go to the fields, go to field dependency. Now here click on new. Here controlling field will always be the like lead source, lead status can be the thing. Now here if you select department, then here department, primary, product, regions. So this will be the custom. Okay, now here when the lead source or lead status is the controlling field, then the custom pick list can be the dependent field. Okay, this is very much important. Okay, so field dependencies, and then we have history tracking. Okay, now here I have fields called department and groups, name and everything we have. Okay, so I just need to track the history if someone has changed the value from SK University to SK University 1, or if I change the department from arts to arts 1, something. Then I have to track the changes, who changed it and when it was changed. Okay, then what you can do is you can enable the history tracking. Okay, for having the history tracking, you should enable one checkbox in the object. Now let me show you. So whenever you have created an object, there will be different checkboxes for enabling, and so this will be displayed like this one while creating the object. Same way here you can see this allow reports, allow activities, track field history, allow charted, everything is there. So for tracking the history, you should check the checkbox called track field history. Click on save. Okay, once you enable the checkbox, then there will be a button called set history tracking. Okay, now what you can do is you can enable owner, groups, university name. So you can enable the history tracking up to 25 fields. Enable the history tracking for up to 25 fields. Click on save. Now here just refresh. So now let me change, and one more thing is you have to edit the layout as well. Just observe here, once you enable this, just go to the record detail page. This is called detail page. Okay, edit layout, the layouts comes later, but for now I am showing this. Just edit layout, and then in the section you can see this related list. The related list, university history, just drag and drop, save it. Okay, go to the layout and then go to the related list and history. Now here let me change arts to science, and then here save it. Here if you observe this, groups changed from BCom to MPC, and change department from arts to science. Okay, if you change something university 1 to, it tracks the history. Now here if you observe this, when it was changed 12/9/2019 at 8:37 p.m. user is Salesforce training, and action is change the university name from SK University to SK University 1 2. SK University 1 to SK University. Okay, and so you can enable up to 25 fields for history tracking, and the data whatever it is created as part of the history tracking will remain up to 18 months. Track for last 18 months. Okay, and the other limitation is you cannot track the values for the text area and multi-select. Okay, let me show an example. I'm going to create field called text area. Now enable the history for now here description is empty. Let me give test 1 as the description. Now here if you see this, change description to test 1. Change its description from test 1 to test 1. So text area can be tracked, what is the previous value and what is the current value, as text area allows only 255 characters. But text area long and text area rich cannot be tracked the old and new values. But it says that changed description and changed the text area long value. That's it. It shows like this. And even for multi-select also, it just displays like changed, and whatever the multi-select, the multi-select field value will be displayed. That's it. Field name will be displayed on the value. Okay, so that is history tracking. So in history tracking you have to remember that you can enable the history tracking up to for 15 fields only, and history tracking allows having the values for new and old values for all the fields except text area long, text area rich and multi-select. For others it will track the old and new values, and you cannot track the values for the auto number, read only fields and formula fields. Okay, so that I'll explain to later. For auto number also you cannot track the value, because that as it is auto number it will be generated only once. You cannot edit or you cannot delete the value, right? So that is the history tracking and others. Still we have one concept called relationship. So that is very big concept. Let's discuss tomorrow on this. Any questions for now?
So even we will not track the text area, text long.
Okay, so why we can't track the text area rich and multi-select? That's your question, right? Big S. So because here if you want to track the old and new value, then the value should be less than or equals to 255 characters. If it is more than 255 characters, then that cannot be displayed in this format. means the area cannot be sufficient and cannot track the actually the history tracking. If you see, there will be an object called, so this is actually a technical thing, I'll explain that as well. University, see this, university history, one object will be created automatically. If you enable the history tracking, automatically one object will be created. Let's say if you enable the history tracking on lead, then lead history will be created. As it is university, university underscore underscore history object is created. Now what happens is, see this parent ID, that will be the record ID of that object, and then field old value, new value. Okay, so old value, new value, this is indirectly, it allows up to 255 characters only. It cannot track more than 255 characters. So that's why if you observe the text area, then a text area long means it allows more than 255 characters. And if you say, if you take it as the multi-select, and if you select 50 values or something, then it will be more than 255 characters. So that's why those both are text area long and multi-select cannot be tracked in and in old value and new value fields in the history tracking, so that it is not allowed to track the old and new values, but it simply says that it is changed.
It is less than 255 characters.
That also cannot be tracked even in that. Let's say if you take the text area long, here it is not more than 255 characters, right? Still it won't track because it consider that text. So when you create the new field, when you create a new field, new custom field, then simply it says that text it allows the letters and numbers. By default it is 255. Text area is also 255 characters, and if you say that text area long, this is 1,31,072 characters are allowed. Okay, and even text area rich also same number of characters are allowed. Okay, so what it should do is, a history tracking object should always consider the field, whatever the field you have created, and field size. Whether it is having that much text or not, it won't consider. Whatever the number of characters you are allowing to store into that specific field, then it should store that specified space for storing old and new value. So that is not possible in the history tracking. That's why it is not allowed to track the text area long and text area rich and multi-select values. Any other questions?
If you want a text area long means, what can I do, sir? Compulsory you want text area long history.
Okay, so if you want to have the history tracking for the text area long or multi-select, then what you have to do is, you have to create a new custom object called university history. Then there you can have text area or text area long object, I mean fields. Those fields, whenever you have to write a trigger for that, that's the coding part. So that coding part you can implement through the trigger. Whenever the field value is changed, you have to create a new record into that history tracking object. Okay, this is a very good question actually. So the same requirement has been given in the Salesforce company for one of the interview for one of my friend. He faced the same question. I have the custom object and I have text area long and text area others. So let's say I have already enabled 25 fields for the history tracking. Now I need 10 more fields for history tracking. How can you do that? Right? There is a limitation up to 25 fields only. But I need extra 10 fields.
But it stores all data, sir.
Yes. That's your coding, right? Coding means you have to write in your own way. Whatever you want to do, you can do through the coding. That you can store.
Limitations, you show only
25. Yes.
Compulsory you want, you play trigger.
You have to customize. Okay. So however you are creating the new custom object and storing values, the same way you have to create another custom object and store the values. Okay. If you want to make it mandatory, then you have another option. Any other questions? Okay, so for today what we have done and what you guys have to do, just first name, auto number we have done. You have to learn about auto number. So here custom object, field dependency, history tracking, auto number. Okay, these are the concepts you have to know. And again, as part of other thing, I have explained the list views as well. List views. You have to learn list views as well. Okay, so tomorrow we are going to discuss relationships.